Hey guys, we're going to be talking about this beautiful, beautiful piece of history here. And if you'd like to hear more about it, go ahead and check out the video.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You got it?
Yeah. Oh. Mama did a fall. Okay, Mommy. Mama did fall. Okay?
Don't fall.
Ah, I fall. Mama, I fall, okay? Mom.
You can do it.
Mama.
You got it.
How do you do? How do you do?
You got it.
All right, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all of my viewers. Bonjour, privet, guten tag, hola, and ciao to my foreign friends. And today we're going to be talking about an old knife. And before we get into the knife, I wanted to talk about time for a minute. In time, there's a phrase that goes, the ravages of time. So time has a way of just tearing things apart. And I don't think anybody knows that better than me, because I'm 64 years old and just a shell of the man I was when I was 25. And that is true with so many things. Think about for a minute, what do you have that you had in your childhood still? Maybe you're 30 years old, maybe you're 20, maybe you're 40. What do you still have that you had in your childhood? And, if you're like me, not much, not much. And that's just a relatively short amount of time. This knife here is in between 100 and 110 years old. And it's one of the few things that survives the ravages of time. And that's why we like to collect them, right? Because it's just, not only are they cool and they look cool, but they're also an amazing piece of history. But there's not a lot of things you can find from the 1920s, 1930s. Usually it's only going to be a small fraction of metal materials that stands the test of time. A coin from 1896, or a pocket watch, which is just an amazing shape. This dates to the 1880s, and it still works. So it's an amazing piece of history. This brass piece of miner's lamp dates to the 1830s. I don't know how old these skeletal keys are, but they go way back. All metal, and they kind of stand the ravages of time. And in the background there, a silver pitcher. So not too many things stand that test of time. Once you start collecting knives, if you're a vintage knife collector and you get a hold of a knife like this, I don't think it takes too long, because we start thinking about this knife. What stories could this knife tell? Where has this knife been? And you just inevitably kind of gravitate towards that kind of thinking. And once you're collecting vintage knives like these, it's not long before you get greedy, right? You're like, man, I would just love to have a knife from the 1800s. And that sounds like a simple enough thing. We're so used to there's no uh, there's plenty of these knives available today on the market, but they're getting scarcer and scarcer. When you go back to 1900, trying to find a knife that's from the 1900s or 1910 is really difficult to do. But when you go back even further, if you want to try to get a knife from the 1800s, these type of knives are some of the best opportunities that you have to get back to the 1800s, deep into the 1800s. Because of the ravages of time, just not a lot has survived. But because of the nature of these knives, they were mostly used by women. They weren't hard used, and they were cherished and often passed down from a mother to their daughter, to her daughter, and so they were preserved as kind of family heirlooms. So this is a class of knife called a fruit knife. And as I mentioned, they predominantly were used by women. Look at the exquisite relief work done on this knife. Just absolutely amazing. Beaded right there. This is sterling silver, this knife. Same thing on the other side. But man, it just harkens back to that era when people, really took pride in what they did. And if you put your name on something, you wanted it to be the best that you could. And money wasn't as important. And if you look, you can see the back is milled here. So that is silver, the spine on that. These knives are very soft. And I'll open it up for you. And the blade's very delicate. So let's see, Bernard Levin classifies these as jackknives, but I don't really know why. Maybe because some of them were just really could be large, but I've never seen a large one like that. So I consider these pen knives because they're just way too delicate, even though they have a single blade, way too delicate to use on a anything other than a little piece of fruit. And it has to be soft fruit too. So one thing about these, they're often plated in silver or gold. A lot of them were made out of mother of pearl. This one has an all silver blade, and the way you can tell that is you take the blade and you move it. Stay in. You move it. See how that blade moves like that? So you don't want to do that too hard. But if that was plated, if it was steel plated with silver, it wouldn't move like that. So this is 100% all silver, this knife. Amazing piece of history. But the biggest thing I wanted to convey to you all is if you, knives like these silver fruit knives, they're the easiest way to get a knife from the 1800s that is in decent shape. And they're pretty affordable. So a lot of these knives you can pick up. I picked this one up for $25. They range between that and $70, $80, depending on who made the knife and what kind of shape that it's in. But just a great way if you find yourself compelled to have a knife from the 1800s. Very easy to find them from the 1860s, for instance, and further back than that. I have one that's from, I think it's 1836, I think is the date on the knife. But anyhow, I hope you found it informative. I hope you enjoyed the video. And thanks again for all your support, guys.